So now that the Locus Electron has finally been released on global, it's time to actually compare both the Locus Neptune as well as the Locus Electron together. So what's up guys, my name is Triforce Addiction, welcome back to another legendary comparison video. So I know that this is extremely requested because I have seen a lot of people on my Locus Electron video state that they want to see a comparison between the Locus Neptune as well as the Locus Electron. So yeah, so I did leave some things out for the comparison video this time around. Obviously, I changed the word iron sight to scope because obviously these are snipers and not regular assault rifles or SMGs. So that's one change that you do have to keep in mind. Another thing that I did take off was also muzzle flash. So I took it off mainly because, you know, for the most part, with snipers you're going to be aiming in and, you know, for the most part you really can't ever see the muzzle flash unless you're hip firing, which is something a sniper almost never does. But everything else with animations, its physical features and all that stuff is still going to remain within this comparison video. So now let's begin in chronological order with the Locus Neptune. So this was released probably around like season 5. I think that's the Call of Duty Ghost season where it was kind of like an underwater type of theme. And it kind of surprised me because we did wait quite a long time for Legendary to come out for the Locus, because of all the snipers during that time, the Locus was one of the only snipers that did not have a Legendary for whatever reason. And it kind of confused me because, you know, back in season 1, season 2, snipers were extremely overpowered. It didn't make sense to me why they didn't make a Legendary during that time. They would have made a lot more money as a result. There wasn't a lobby during those periods of time where there wasn't at least one person using the Locus as their sniper rifle. So imagine if they released a Legendary during that time. Yeah, a lot of people would have been more inclined to buy a Legendary for the Locus. So I don't know why they took so long to make one. So I will say this, they did not disappoint with the design, but I feel like the design itself is flawed. If you're looking at it from a cosmetic perspective, I mean, yeah, the sniper rifle looks pretty cool, but the problem is the scope. So, you know, for the most part, people don't like the scope for this Legendary skin because it's a little bit too obstructing. It has a rectangular sight which kind of blocks your view vertically. A lot of people don't like it because of that reason, and honestly, I don't blame them. I do have some trouble, but for some reason, I was kind of getting ready to shit on this blueprint a lot. I did record this about like maybe 30 minutes ago, and surprisingly I'm doing extremely well, and that's kind of weird because I usually don't do well with this type of skin on. Maybe it's just me readjusting to using regular scopes because keep in mind I don't really use snipers a lot, but you know, in these past few days I have been using them a little bit more frequently, so maybe that's why I'm doing a little bit better. I'm starting to readjust to the whole thing. And look, about the scope, I mean, yeah, the outside design of the scope before you zoom in does look pretty nice. You see all that water on the scope and everything, and it kind of gives it the impression of a scuba diver, but I would have been more comfortable if it was maybe more of a Cyclops theme, because I think it would have been a little bit better since, you know, the scope would be circular and you wouldn't have any obstructions with your view. And I feel as if that's where the Locus Neptune really falls short. And keep in mind, with the animations around the weapon, there's not really a lot. I mean, there is a water tank like right on the body of the weapon, but you know, it's something you could barely even notice it being animated. And for the most part, you can't really see it being animated unless, yeah, you're looking at that, and that's pretty much it. I will say the depth effect is pretty superior to the Electron. The Electron has more of an electric type of depth effect. It's kind of like the AS Val, you know, the level 7 depth effect that you would get after getting to that level, but you know, it's not as great. In terms of sound, I will say that this one is superior since, you know, with the Locus Electron, you can't really notice it as well as you can with the Neptune. So I will give it points for that. So also, like I said, the depth effect is a little superior to the Electron. So yeah, but when it comes to its physical design, scope and all, I mean, I think I would have to give it to the Electron. So now 6 seasons later, we move on to the Locus Electron. So first, let's discuss its physical design. So it is far different, but a lot more superior than the Locus Neptune in that it's a lot more thinner. It's not really taking up the whole fucking, you know, screen and everything. And they did do away with that terrible scope from the Neptune. So now it's a square scope. Very similar to the carbon cut, but the difference is that this scope is actually animated if you do look at it from a in first person perspective before you ADS. This is something that a lot of snipers don't actually have at the moment. I think if the Neptune is animated, but I'm not really too sure. But yeah, it's far less obstructing. You don't have to worry about your view being blocked in a vertical sense because, you know, pretty much it's perfect in every single angle. Another thing to keep in mind is that this is a kill reactive type of weapon. So whenever you do kill an enemy, this weapon does have some sort of effect that goes around the body. And by reactive, I don't mean that, you know, it evolves more as you get kills. It still doesn't do that. It still remains the same. It's just a basic legendary, but whenever you do kill someone, it does have an effect that plays. As for sound effects, like I said, it's not as great as it would be with the Locus Neptune, because with the Neptune, it's a lot more noticeable. Here, like, yeah, you could hear a little bit of electricity, but it's not that great. But I will say that there are different sound effects for reloading, so yeah, that's something to keep in mind. But still, I would say that the Locus Neptune for the most part does reign supreme on this aspect. So here are the final results. So in terms of physical design, I give the Locus Neptune second place. I do give Electron first. Animations, I do give Locus Neptune second, with the Electron being in first. With death effects, I do give first to the Locus Neptune since it's far superior. But for the Locus Electron, unfortunately, it gets second place. Also for sound effects, Locus Neptune does take the cake for this one as well, since they are more noticeable. And for the scope, the Electron reigns supreme on that area. So at the end of the day, I mean, both sniper legendary skins are amazing in their own right. But of course, I kind of prefer, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would prefer the Electron more than the Neptune because of the scope. I mean, for the most part, I do see a lot of people using regular scopes. I don't really see a lot of people using 3 times. It's a very, very rare occasion. But, you know, people like stuff that looks cool, but it won't obstruct or mess up how they use their weapon. And snipers are, you know, no exception to that. I think for the Locus Neptune, if they were able to make it more of a Cyclops thing, it probably would have been a lot better and probably would have received a lot less criticism. But because of the scuba scope, I feel like the weapon falls short because of that. But at the end of the day, it's your own personal preference. There are some people that told me that I think Magnus, my friend, told me that the Locus Neptune was better than the Electron, but then when he saw my video, he kind of understood that the Electron might be a little bit better. So yeah, a lot of people have some weird conflicting views when it comes to these two legendaries. So anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD mobile content, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.